Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another episode of the Yakking Show Business Channel. This is the show where we bring you interesting guests to give you tips and ideas to help you and your business thrive in the interesting times we seem to be heading into. But first, before we bring our guests in, let's introduce Kathleen Beauvais, our co-host. Hi, Kathleen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you. And thank you all so very much for tuning into our show. We so appreciate having you. And as you can see, we have two very special guests with us today that we're just so privileged to have. We welcome Damien Roux, who is the co-founder and CEO of Drimify, as well as his cohort, Christopher Bradley, who's the product manager working with clients on gamification projects. Drimify is a gamification platform that helps businesses engage with their customers. So let's just jump right in here. Can you explain, either Christopher or Damien, what gamification is all about and how it helps businesses specifically?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, go for it, Chris.
yeah. So, I mean, I guess like a good way to think about it is like, think how hard people go at the weekends just in like sports, like the badminton league. Games really like bring out a lot in people. So the idea of gamification is just applying game-like principles to everyday tasks to get more out of people, whether that's in like marketing or training. If you make a game out of it, people try to win and try to do their best. So whatever you apply it to, it's probably going to get you much better results. There's not really a lot that you can't gamify. Really, anything to add on that, Damien?
Yeah, gamification is all about engagement. So it's about creating interactions. And for businesses, at the end of the day, it's generating like positive communication. So that's why we are trying to bring like a playful approach to everything we do.
Okay, sounds good. So you don't have to give any secrets away. You don't have to mention any brand names, but give us some examples of actual games that you've come up with for some of your clients.
Well, I mean, a big thing about Drimify is we're letting the clients make their own games. So
Okay.
like if you go back sort of 10, 20 years, if you wanted to build a website, you'd have to get someone that knew how to do it to come in. Now you can put it together yourself using like kind of pre-made like templates. And that's kind of what we've got with ours. So we've got all these like tried and tested game engines that clients can go in and customize them to their exact needs. But, if they want, we've got our agency services too. So we're there to like consult and like build the games and make sure they're optimized like to the best that they can be.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's what Chris was saying about the fact that we made game creation easy. So that's our mission, like just like websites, creating games for a brand or for a company a few years ago was still quite reserved to big companies because they had the budget for it. But now what we wanted, our mission is to make gamification affordable to everyone. So that's why we created a platform where you can reuse game engines, you can reuse like pre-made templates, and that's you ready to launch in a matter of minutes or hours.
Wow,
And
that's really good.
So can you explain the main objective then for introducing gamification specifically into a marketing strategy?
So I'll give you a great example. Like if you think about kind of where like marketers are operating mostly today, think about the attention span and how much competition there is on like TikTok or Instagram Reels. People are scrolling. If you're not hooked in 5 seconds, you're away. So it's like trying to really cut through that noise and like grab people. Like with particularly with the kind of gamification we do. Are you familiar with the is it called the pirate metric, Damien? The R framework. Have you guys heard of that?
It's the same. Yeah. It's acquisition, activation. It's a framework where you can like run a marketing strategy with all the touch points.
Oh, okay.
So for acquisition, for example, like someone is just scrolling through and you come to a game or something that's a little bit more engaging and it's asking for like interactivity. So it's in a way it's pulling you in and it's capturing that attention, but then it's also holding that attention. Like it's getting someone to stay, and then you're getting them into your journey, and you're taking them to a desired action through using like game mechanisms, whether that's you're getting them involved to like solve a puzzle, or it's like an instant win game for a chance to like win like a promotional code or something, which moving along that framework that moves you from acquisition down towards revenue.
Right.
Yeah, and you go through activation as well. So for example, if you take like all those steps, you've got activation, so you grab people's attention with a game, so they start interacting with it. And the difference with classic medium or classic formats is that with a game you interact with it. It's not like just a passive thing. You know, when you watch a video, or if you look at a picture, or if you read a PDF, that's kind of passive. Nothing is happening. But with gamification, that's what we do. Like, it's interaction, it's this back and forth that make things a bit more exciting. So that's how to grab people's attention. Then for activation, let's say someone is on a website and they are not sure if they want to buy a product or not. Then with a game, with an instant win game, we could, for example, give away a promo code. But it's not just like, here is your promo code and now you have to buy. It's more like play a game, get a chance to win a promo code. So it's quite playful. So it makes you like involved a bit more with the brand, with the products. And that's how we can activate a prospect and convert it into a customer. And then we've got also like retention, obviously, as part of the framework. So it's how to keep people engaged and how to create those repeat purchase through games as well. So it can be promo codes, it can be, I don't know, like a loyalty program during 12 months, where each month you've got like interactions. But yeah, it's all about building like the community and grabbing people's attention all the time.
Oh, so it sounds like almost recently I was on a website. It was for makeup, and it had a little bit of a game where it says spin the wheel and see what discount you can get. Something like that, right? Is what you...
Correct.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got to spin the wheel. We've got like an instant win game mechanic. We've got quite a few variations of that on the platform.
Now, can you give us an example, other examples of maybe companies that have used this gamification successfully, and what exactly can you take us through some examples of what they've done?
We, without going into specifics, for example, like we've worked with like sports teams, and if you think about like sports fans, they like sports, they like games, they like, you kind of got, so it's like, how do you enhance the fan experience? So, it's kind of like you get to make the fans, it's like you invite them to like do more than just watch. And, you can get like, whether it's like to like win kit or merchandise or tickets or like hospitality experiences and stuff. We've got on the Drimify platform, as well as other like games, we've got like sports games. We've got like a football game or a soccer game, I guess, for you. We've got American football too, rugby, and kind of like more in the works. So, you can really tailor them to your exact team. So for example, if you were, say, like an American football team, you can take the American football game, you can tailor your kit, your stadium, and you can include like intermediate screens with like videos, players, etc. So it's being used in that way. Just to like enhance the fan experience. Sorry, I feel like you were going to jump in there, Damien.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was about to tell what you said, like to talk about fan experience. Like, for example, halftime, or at halftime, you could have like a QR code being displayed on a big screen in the stadium, and people could scan the QR code, participate to the game for a chance to win maybe like a shirt or a baseball cap or whatever it's on offer, So it's, again, like trying to create interactions at every single touch point of the customer journey.
Oh, that's fun. Yes, because come to think of it, I was trying to think, what do they mean by gamification exactly? How is it applied? And then, of course, just based on your description, I've used it, right?
It's in more places than you think.
Absolutely. I went to the show. I went to the movie theater, which I hadn't been in quite some time. And before the movie started, there was an interactive game on the screen where it says to pick up your apps and answer these questions for a chance to win a free box of popcorn or something.
That's it. That's what we do. Yeah, we've got quite a few customers in the US. We are working with Marcus Theaters. So that's what they do. They use like our games to promote popcorns or new movies every week and things like that. We've got other clients where we do exactly the same. You know, you can even get like an ice cream, for example, just by playing a game. So yeah, so that's gamification for marketing, and the same apply to different sectors. We are working, for example, with telecom companies, and for them, their target is to increase app downloads, mobile application downloads. So what we do is, for example, we can give a game, you play the game, maybe you lose, but we tell you if you want one more chance to win, download the app and play in the app.
Okay.
So that's how you leverage the downloads, and that's how you increase the download rates for the app. And then when people play in the app, that's a secret. You are talking about secrets. That's a good secret. When people are downloading the app and they play within the app, if they win, we give them their prize. But because they won, they are in a good mood. So that's where we are asking them to rate the app. So on top of boosting the app downloads, we are also increasing the app rating. So, you know, like gamification can really help in many different ways.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
what's the difference? Sorry, Peter, I just want to jump in with one more if I can. So I just had another question with respect to revenues. Can you give us examples of companies that have used your system, and what impact has that done for their customer retention as well as revenues?
Yeah. Do you want me to go, Chris?
Yeah.
We've got a really good example with Coty. Coty is the umbrella company for Hugo Boss, you know, like Adidas perfumes, like all the fragrances you can find, Marc Jacobs, you know, like all the fragrances you can find in duty frees in airports, for example. And what we've done for them is we've made a game that was available only in the airports, like everywhere in the world. So when you connect to the Wi-Fi in the airport, you get a banner, you click the banner, you access the game, you play the game, but to play the game, you have to go in store because the answers are on the shelves. Okay, so it's like asking, for example, what's the shape of the last Hugo Boss perfume, blah blah. So you go in store, you find the bottle, you answer the question. So you've got 3 questions. So it makes you walk within the duty-free store. And then at the end, you get a promo code. And with this promo code, it's like 30% off if you spend more than $50, for example. And with this, we managed to almost double. So it's like plus 92% in the average basket spend. So it's like doubling the revenues of the company through a game and through a promotional code.
That is brilliant. How cool.
It is. See?
Wow.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant. And that reminds me of way before online stuff, the old scavenger hunt. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Where
That's it.
You would send people out to find things here, there, and in shops, and then they would buy stuff. So, wow, that's interesting. And I can see how that would work so well, especially in duty free. One question that while you guys have been talking, I was just thinking that let's use the analogy of Super Bowl ads. So I love the Budweiser Clydesdale ads, you know, with those heavy horses that pull a wagon. I don't even know they're still running, but I don't drink beer, right? But I really enjoy it, and I'll watch those ads over and over with those horses, and the one had a donkey and there's a dog and all this for pure entertainment. Is there a danger that if you design your games too well, that customers will get so hooked on the game they don't follow through to the call to action and do what you want them to do, be it sign up or get a code or buy something? Is there a danger there? Have you got to be careful with that?
Yeah, it's like everything. You have to do it responsibly. It's like drinking beers, you know. So gamification is the same. You can push the gamification too far, but you know, like when you know how to do it, and we've been doing it for more than 15 years now. We started back in 2007. So if you know what you do, it's like everything. It's like driving a car. You know, you could have an accident, you could kill someone, but if you know how to drive, everything will be fine. So gamification.
Yeah. No,
it's important to always.
I can see.
The way to avoid that is like whenever you're doing like a gamification, whenever you're working with a client, it's always like what's the goal? You're starting with the goal and you work from there. Because Damien said something once that stuck with me. We're not here to entertain people. Like that's kind of a side effect of it. But you know, if you start with the goal, it's, you know, the numbers will work, and it will. You get the occasional person who just is like, man, I'm really enjoying this game of Connect 4. I'm going to just keep hammering it. But you know, most people are gonna you know, it's all based on psychology. They're going to follow the blueprint to do what you want.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. So leading on from that is another side effect that over and above getting people to do what you want, be that buy or join a list, you build a huge fan base of really strong advocates because they've been brought there through a game rather than old style advertising of some sort. So, okay.
Yeah. So, and games, and the good thing with games is that it's just like everything, you have to do it on a regular basis.
Sure.
So if you want to develop a fan base, keep people engaged, it's like sending a newsletter. That's an example we use quite often, but you don't send one newsletter per year. You send one at least one per month. So with games, it's the same. You're not gonna maybe perform the way you want on the very first campaign. You have to keep going, learn, test and learn, you know, and then from there you can engage your audience, you can create a community, and the best is when people are waiting for the next game. So that's when you realize that you've done it, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
So maybe Christopher, what types of games are better suited to specific types of businesses?
So I think the better way to think of that is like what types of games are better suited to specific challenges to overcome. Because if you think about it, like you could have two very different businesses, but they both need to do marketing. They both need to incentivize people to, you know, pay attention to their product. Right. They both need to focus on acquisition, but they've also both got human resources departments. They both need to, you know, attract talent and train talent. So we've talked quite a lot about, you know, the marketing side, where you've got like the instant win mechanics and like the casual games. But then we've also got like a lot of, we've got a few kind of game engines that can combine multiple games, so like multiple quizzes with like content like video and text. So you can build something there where you can actually train people. So, I mean, if you think about what's important in training someone to do a job, you know, it needs to be immersive, it needs to be engaging, and it needs to simulate something. So you can pose scenarios and you can sort of let people sort of build their confidence up in something in like quite a safe environment. So, you know, things like we've got, it's called the dynamic path, where you can basically create like a story and use lots of multiple games to kind of build this longer form, kind of more immersive experience. And because you've got their attention for longer and they're participating, they're working their way through a story, almost making them like a main character, they're just going to absorb that information a lot more effectively. And also you get, for every action someone takes in one of our gamified experiences, you get data on it. So if you're using these experiences to train people, you can see like, okay, well, this person seems to be picking it up really well. And obviously you've got to balance that with, you know, kind of like their real life performances and other elements, but it gives you like a really good guide as to like how people are performing.
Interesting.
Really.
What about do you have examples of using games to build up positive PR at the corporate level or improve image? So we're not talking marketing. Let's say a company that's getting flack for not being environmentally friendly. Let's just put it that way. But they actually are. Is there a potential to use a game to help people, show people that they are doing their bit for the environment? I'm using that as purely as an example.
Absolutely. So I mean, you're talking really about kind of corporate like CSR strategy campaigns.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, it's a similar thing. I mean, you've got, so I talked there about using like the dynamic path for like internally, like building people up with HR, but there's no reason why that can't be external facing as well. Damien, have you got any examples off the top of your head, actually?
Yeah. So it's like, for example, promoting CSR for a company. So that's something we've done with many customers. So it's a way for them to make their audience, and the audience can be internal, so the staff, but also external, so customers, prospects. So that's a way of doing it. But we also use it a lot for recruitment. So employer brand. We've done a campaign for a big banking corporate, you know, like a big bank. And what they wanted to do is to make people discover the banking jobs and explain that how good they are and so on and so on. So what we've done is we created a dynamic path made of 3 steps, and each step was unlocked a different week. So it was a 3 weeks campaign. So each week you could come back, play a game, learn something, But the idea behind it was to make people discover the recruitment platform. So you could play the game, you could get points at every single step, but at the end of each step, each week, you were kind of invited to go and discover the recruitment platform, meaning that you could discover all the jobs available and stuff. And at the end, after the 3 weeks, because you've been accumulating points every week, there was a prize draw made from the top 200 or something, and people could win iPads and gift cards and things like that. So again, it's a way to tell, look at our industry, look at our company, we've got jobs available, but it's so hard to recruit today that we decided to make it like a gamified experience. So you can engage with it, learn about our values, our approach, and take it from there. But at least for the business itself, for the bank, it was really good because you kind of feel that they look cool, you know, because they've done it through gamification, because banking could be quite serious sometimes.
Sure.
But having this playful approach make them stand out and make them look different.
Wow.
Ah, gee, all sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Carry on, Kathleen. Oh, sorry. Okay. We're hearing a lot about AI, Chat GPT, and everything else. Is this going to have a big influence on gamification?
From shortcuts. So yeah, I mean, basically, like the Drimify gamification platform already kind of breaks it down into these simple steps. And then when you add AI to it, it's just going to create all these like little shortcuts to make it faster. But then also from like a concept generation point of view, I mean, you're already seeing people putting into like Chat GPT-4 the characteristics of an author, and it's, you know, spitting out short stories in the style of, you know, whoever, you know, you see things like Grammarly imitating people's like writing styles. So by the same token, you could, you know, potentially when you're coming up with a campaign, even on the strategic side, you could be like, well, I like this gamification campaign. How can we apply it to this?
Keep going.
But yeah, but so like by the virtue of like pattern recognition and stuff, it's going to be able to apply and just give like lots of suggestions for like, this could be a good campaign, or this could be a new way to spin this. And it's, you know, a big part of gamification as well is coming up with something that's clever and is going to capture people's imagination. And, you know, AI is going to help you just come up with more scenarios, and just, you know, you're still going to have to, it still takes a human touch, I think, to pick the most appropriate one. But it's going to give you so many more ideas in the bank to, you know, just create something really interesting, and to, you know, to keep things fresh and, you know, get the most mileage out of a good idea.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Because if I can just carry on that line, from what you're saying, I could look at your website and look at all sorts of examples of games, but with no experience, I built my own website, so it wouldn't be too difficult for me to set it up, but I have no idea which would be the most appropriate game or type of game for my type of business. So that's where I would need guys like yourselves to advise me. So AI is not going to change that too much, is it? It's not. I don't believe it's going to be too much of a threat for what you do.
I think if anything, it's a perfect partnership, really. I think it's really going to help us. Yeah, I think it's just going to open up more possibilities.
Especially to do it at scale. I mean, if we know, because we know like some good patterns, so we are able to say, okay, if your goal is to do this, then use this game mechanic, you know, like examples. But if we can train some AI to learn about it and to understand it, then when someone is asking, okay, this is my goal, then we will be able to suggest like good concepts, good ideas. And what Chris was saying is it's also going to fast track the game creation. So it's, I mean, for us, it's a new tool in our toolbox to make it even easier and faster.
Right. So can you
very good.
talk about the different levels of fun that you refer to on your website, specifically easy fun, hard fun, people fun, serious fun?
So yeah, okay. So these things were kind of like, I think this was like a model that a video game designer came up with to try and analyze like what are people enjoying about these video games? Like why are they tapping into them? But you know, modern gamification is based on the same principles as video games. Like kind of, if you think about it, each subsequent generation is kind of programmed to enjoy interactive games. So like I guess like the easy fun is kind of like the sort of surface level kind of acquisition. It's like people's curiosity. It's not so much about winning and losing. It's just getting their attention, holding their attention. So that's very much on the marketing side. Then like your hard fun kind of like is more about achievement. So like again, that comes into play if you're like training people, possibly even a little bit for recruitment as well, where it's like like an aptitude test, like got to prove yourself. And then like the people fun, that's kind of like interaction, like sharing experiences. So I guess if you could think about like you can gamify like events as well. Like if you want people to explore different booths or different areas of like a facility, again, we talked about that scavenger hunt. If you have QR codes or like, you also have like little passwords to unlock levels, which you can then like people have to like, well, I've got to go here and figure this out to get in. So it just forces them to explore a little bit more. So that's like your people fun side of it, but also competition as well. You can have like leaderboards, and then your serious fun. That's more like we're talking about like simulation, like so again, that really I guess comes down to more sort of like HR stuff, particularly if you're getting someone to train on like a job where if they were doing it for real and they messed it up, it would be really dangerous. But if you're doing it within a simulation, exploring with the ideas, then there's a certain satisfaction, relaxation that comes from being like, well, I've got, this many hours in simulation, like that kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Well, actually, it does, because I think I was in Ireland recently, and I was just looking online to see if there's any help on how to drive in Ireland coming from North America, right? And there was a simulator. There's this game that you can, drive through the roundabouts, and
that's exactly it.
Did you pass? Did you pass the test?
Next question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun.
Okay.
So I'm picking up on what Christopher said there about a gamification tied to events. So I can just imagine an event with thousands of vendors at a big event with all their booths. So you could have a whole lot of companies contributing to one game, and they would all score on that, right? A whole lot of different vendors in tying in your scavenger hunt idea, and that could benefit the eventer and the individual vendors at the same time. So that could be real fun. Wow.
That's something we've done also for shopping malls. So for example, a shopping mall was organizing like a scavenger hunt within all the different shops. So all the brands, all the shops were participating. And sometimes you had to go in one, find where the teddy bear was hiding, and the teddy bear was hiding in the changing rooms. So you could find the teddy bear, then you had like a code around his neck. So the code was unlocking the next level, and then you go to the next shop. The shops were not competing, they were together, building like a great experience for their customers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Was it a Pokemon kind of game? Isn't that
what
That's
it.
But
developed in a few minutes or few hours, not years.
Peter, I thought you were going to go a different way there, because when you were describing, all the different eventers, I was thinking like, because, when you go to those kind of corporate events, everyone's competing for that like finite amount of attention.
Yeah.
And, everyone, your guard's kind of up, isn't it, when you go to them?
Yes, but here's what I thought about. I go to that event. I'm looking for a new computer, but I'm also want to get into gamification for my products, right? So in the game that you guys have designed, it says, well, ABC Computers have got this really smart new computer. Why don't you go and have a look? And it also says Drimify are over there, the other side of this big event hall, and they're really good on gamification. So my game says I'm going to get points or a T-shirt, whatever, by going to both. So there's two totally disparate vendors selling totally different types of equipment and services, but because I'm hooked on the game, I'm going to go to both of you, right? So that's where I see it could work on these sort of events.
You strike me as a real team player. I was going to go in a different direction and say, how do you stand out and crush everyone else and get all the attention to yourself? Have a big leaderboard at the top, and it's like a beacon. Then it's an icebreaker as well, because if someone goes and they get a good score and they feel good about it, and they see later on like they're off the leaderboard, they got to come back. You get that second conversation.
Of course.
I like your approach as well. It's a lot friendlier than mine.
No, I like yours too. That's really good. So back to your website, and you talk about 4 types of players that you've identified. So I guess you've got the really old people like me who are pretty useless at any modern games, and then you've got young people like all you guys who are at different levels, or is that not necessarily what you're identifying with four types?
That's not something that we've identified, and you'll like I think it's like Bartleby's taxonomy of players that you're referring to.
Yeah,
we definitely put content out about, but there's quite a few sort of thought leaders in gamification have put out these taxonomies. Like I think Bartleby's is probably the most useful because it just has 4 players, but it's like if you think about so gamification, a lot of people think like you make a game of it, people want to win, but then how do you explain games like The Sims? You know, where you don't, you just kind of exist. Because not everyone is necessarily competitive, but play is kind of like a universal language. Everyone likes to like participate. So I think like Bartleby's, I think you've got the socializers who are more into like the social aspect of things. You've got the killers who are just purely motivated by winning and like dominating their rivals.
Which you were talking about a few minutes ago, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I have not done any team sports. I'm like an individual all the way. But yeah, so you've got these different player types, which I think help. Like if you kind of know who you're trying to appeal to, or at least trying to understand why games will appeal to like certain people, if that makes sense.
Right.
It does indeed. But that begs the question that if you're a huge multinational corporation with a huge number of prospective and actual clients, customers in different countries and in different demographics for income or age, do you then need more than one type of game to appeal to all of those? Or more than one?
That was my next point, because I was about to tell exactly the same. It's the way we approach it is that what we do is we tend to keep things quite generic, so it means it's going to work for everyone. I give you an example. We are working a lot with telecom companies, and recently we just completed a campaign where we've been reaching more than 8 million people in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And so it means that the game had to be simple, because when you've got like 8 million customers, you've got people that are 18 years old and some that are maybe 80 years old.
Yeah,
so you have to cover the range. So doing things like a scratch card game or spin the wheel or a quiz, it's universal. Everyone knows how to scratch or spin a wheel or answer a question. So that's where generic concepts in gamifications are most of the time the best ones when you want to reach a wide audience. But then if you've got like a niche or if you've got like a specialist audience, that's where you can go further and implement concepts that are more suited to those people.
Wow.
Good one. Wow. Well, this is fascinating stuff.
It has been very fascinating. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but how do people contact you?
The best would be on LinkedIn. So we are available on LinkedIn to if you've got any questions. And also, the main thing is on the website, so Drimify.com. So feel free to get there, try the demos, create an account for free, and give it a go.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Peter.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I'll
leave it with you, Kathleen.
All right. Well, thank you, Christopher, Damien. My goodness, we could have gone on for, I think, another hour just having this discussion. It's been really, really enlightening, actually. So thank you both for being with us today. We so appreciated having you. And thank you all so very much for tuning in to our show. If anyone is interested in being a guest, please visit us at theyakkingshow.com. All you need to do is click on the contacts tab where you will find a short application form, and we would love to hear from you. So until next time, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.